Hey guys, thank you for finding me. If you don't know who I am, I'm Dave Dixon. I live in Northern California, and I love California. I always say that. I do love it, especially when so many people are trying to leave it. What I wanted to talk to you about today was a new thing that I'm thinking about that I would call maximalism. A lot of people are telling the benefits and talking the benefits of minimalism. And it happened recently. I was watching a video yesterday, and it was from Japan. And I'm Japanese myself. I'm half Japanese. And it was extolling the virtues of minimalism. And I get it. You know, you don't have a lot of stuff. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. But there's also an adage when I was growing up, the guy that dies with the most toys wins. Not that I'm trying to get the most toys, but I'm just saying that everything I get, it's easy for me to think about the time horizon of how long are you going to have that? Oh, forever. I really literally don't sell things. I have sold some things that I regretted. And so for that reason, I don't really buy things as if I might end up selling it. And I'm really adamant about not doing it. So on this video that I was watching about minimalism, it had two young people. The first thing that struck me is I don't think they have a lot of assets. You know, they're just young, skinny, Japanese, walking around in a Japanese house. And the house was very minimalism. It had like a flower pot with one flower in it, and tatami mats on the floor, and it had like a garden outside. But I mean, this looks like it would be like a $1 or $2 million house in Japan, and I just got the feeling right away that these are actors. They don't own that house, and this is just to promote a thing of getting rid of all your stuff. So right after that, I happened to be watching other videos on Japan, and there was a video right after that showing an average Japanese family where the lady was making some bento boxes, for her kids, to take to school. And that reminded me of my grandma's house in Japan, because it was full of, well, I don't want to say full of junk, but it was full of a lot of stuff. It looked very lived in. It was completely packed with things. And things were put almost anywhere they could put it. And that's what I think the true Japan is. It's not about these actors walking around a $2 million house like they're so happy they don't have anything, In my case, I've been a maximizer. I do like to buy things. My stuff actually does bring me happiness. I know a lot of people think, well, stuff can't give you happiness, Dave. You get happiness from other things, like a chat with a friend, or your wife, that you love. And I do love my wife. I've been with her for 36 years. I mean, I do love her. We get along very well. A grandchild, that brings you happiness. Stuff can't bring you happiness, is what I'm always told. But stuff does bring me happiness. I like my stuff. There's some stuff that I have that I just would not ever want to think about parting with. Things from cars, like my Batmobiles. I built those with my hand. I mean, I built them. I know where all the bolts, all the nuts, how we screwed the dash in, where the dash came from, what gauges are on the dash. And I've always told my family that when I croak, they're more than welcome to just sell it. You may get great deals out there because they may be selling it below market. But I told them I won't care at that point. But it's just too hard for me to sell them and to get rid of them. I actually did have a chance at one time to sell my '89 Batmobile, and it was somebody that I actually knew, so I thought it might go through. And at the time we were talking about $130,000 for it. And I really wanted, at the time I felt like I really wanted to sell it. And it was the typical sales thing that you have all the time, where it sounded like it was legit. He had the money to do it. But one of the things that I was asking him about, or he just, kind of willfully told me, is that he was going to take the money out of his retirement, and that was going to be almost all of his money. And I even told him, I go, I don't think that's a good idea at all, because you don't want to get rid of your money in savings is like freedom. So you don't want to be in a situation where you sell all of that, for a Batmobile? His idea was to dress up like Batman and go to different hospitals, which I've heard that quite a bit. But the thing that really started to make it go sideways for me is that initially he was going to bring the money to me, and then he'd pick up the car, and it was up to him. He could take it from my driveway, and that's how it was going to happen. But then all of a sudden he started saying, well, I don't have a trailer. He goes, I know you have a trailer. Maybe you could, load it up on your trailer and bring it down to LA, which is like 450 miles from me. And then I'll give you the money at that time. Because the other thing is I wanted cash. And I don't know, that's just what I wanted. I didn't want to take the chance that he's writing me a bum check or anything like that. And I know that's a lot of money, but, that's how I wanted to do it. And so when he told me that, it just kind of made me very frustrated, because he knew what the terms of the deal were going to be. And then now he wants me to drive it all the way down to LA. And then when I get to LA, then he can tell me, oh, he doesn't have the money, So I was like, there's no way I'm driving it down there. In fact, I'm not even going to sell it to you. I don't care. I'm going to keep it. And then after I, hung up on the phone, I did feel a lot of relief, because I didn't end up selling it. And so I have it again, and so it came as a close call, but I'm really glad that I did not sell it. And I always thought, like, what am I going to do with the money? If I got that much money, I'm not going to spend it, because I'm very cautious about doing that. So I would probably put it in an investment account, and it would just be more money that I have in my investment account, which I probably wouldn't end up using. It would just go to my kids or whatever. So I'm glad that I did not end up selling it. And that Batmobile does make me happy. Again, I built the whole thing, so I know where everything went on it. And that's what was important to me. So almost the opposite happens to me. To sell something brings me stress. And over the years, I have sold a bunch of stuff. And after I sold it, maybe not right away, but later, I felt regret, So one of the things that I sold that I felt regret about was 1962 Chris Craft that I had. It was a 32-foot long wooden boat, and it was in excellent shape, and I love that boat. I used to go down to the boat at the marina, and I would eat my lunch there. I'd grab some Subway, sit on the back of the boat, feed the ducks, and oh my God, it was so relaxing. Especially at that time, it was very stressful, selling pools, which is what I do for a living. And so when I finally had to sell it, it was in excellent shape. And I came to the realization I'm just going to sell it. And later, I wish I would have kept it, There was actually a time, because the person failed on their, rental of the boat dock where they had it up here in Sacramento, and I was given a telephone number that I could call. He never transferred it into his name, so I could call and I could go get it, if I paid the boat fees. And I thought about it, but I didn't even want to see the boat, because when I had the boat, it was in excellent shape. I mean, I had gone through the engines, I had repainted it, I had done a lot of stuff to it, and I just didn't want to see something that was all crapped out. So that dream was kind of gone, and I wish I would have kept my boat. The next thing that I had is I had a 1970 Charger when I was a young man in high school. It was black with a white interior, and maybe I'll try to put a picture of it in this video. But I love that Charger. I had that when I was 18 years old, and when I went into the Navy, I just felt like, well, I better sell it, because I'm not going to be able to use it. I don't know what's going to happen to it. And I just thought, well, I think I probably should sell it. And so, guys waving me in. It's a lot of traffic here in Sacramento, but I find that most people are very nice. And they let me in if I have my blinker on. And so, my 1970 Charger, the craziest thing about it is I bought it when I was in high school, and I graduated in 76. It had a 440 Magnum, automatic transmission, US mags on it, beautiful paint job, all black, just beautiful. And ran like a bat out of hell. I mean, it was just to go out there and start it up was such a feeling. And I did have a chance, actually. One of my friends ended up buying one in an auction. He owns jewelry stores, and he bought one almost looked the same as mine, except it was black on black. And then he bought it for $55,000. And I went over to a party, and I was telling him I used to have one, and he just threw me the keys, and he said, well, go take it for a spin. And you know what? I said, nah, no thank you. I mean, I didn't even want to get in that car. I didn't even want to ride in the car, much less drive the car. It was nice that he offered it to me, but I already had so much regret in selling it. And I bought that car for $1,500 in 1975. And I sold it before I went into the Navy for $1,500. I even tried to check it. Check it out and try to find it, because I was going to find it and then restore it and all that stuff, but I could not find it easily. I mean, I probably could have if I was really pressed for it. But another thing that I had that I ended up selling, and I wish I would have kept. And then the last thing that I had was not a big deal, but it was a sand buggy. It looked like it came off the Baja 1000. It was a tubular chassis called a Chenoweth frame with a VW engine, and it was all kind of jacked up engine. You know, it really had a lot of power, but it still was a VW, which usually means it leaks all the time. So it did leak. And then I used to drive it around on the highway, and the CHP officers used to look at me like, what the heck are you doing? Because it did not look street legal, but it was totally street legal. It was a specially constructed vehicle. And that one I really didn't get rid of. I actually used it as a basis for my tumbler. When I was trying to explain to my welder what I was looking for, he just couldn't get it. So I took my sand buggy and I cut it up, and I disconnected things. And then I put the big tires in the front, I put the 4 tires in the back. At that time they were on a Camaro rear end. And then I took it into him, and he goes, well, this looks really great, Dave. He goes, but this isn't gonna work. I was thinking to myself, you mean I just cut that up for nothing? He goes, because this is all mild steel, and to hold that axle in place and the front end, you're gonna have to have DOM, drawn out material tubing. And so it was great as an example for him to see what I was looking for, but we ended up not being able to use it. So that was the basis for my tumbler. And then the last one I just thought about was a 1970 VW crew cab. I ended up buying. I was driving down the road in my hometown, and I happened to see it at a car lot, and I was telling myself, do not look at that, do not turn your head, do not go over there. And I went over there, and I ended up buying it, and it was very, very cool. The only bad thing about it is that every time I would drive around in it, because of the way the wheel sat behind me, it would always kind of mess up my back, pop my back out of place. And so I did end up selling it. I wish I would have spent more time maybe looking at the seats and, you know, trying to see if I could have made it work, but I didn't. I just ended up selling it, and it was also big, and so it's in my garage. But that's another one I wish I would have kept. So I'm not about minimalism, I'm about maximalism. And so I think that should be a thing. Thank you much, and have a great day.